What is going on, guys? This is Danny, and in this video, we're gonna see if we can trust our emotions or not, and what to do about it. And here's the thing, we can trust them, or we can't trust them, or we can't, I don't know. This is what happens to a lot of people, how on the one hand, they might wanna do something, but their emotions are kind of holding them back, or the opposite. And the answer to this, I'm just looking at myself in the camera and it sounds so dumb, but I swear to God that this is actually a very smart video you're gonna see in a second. You can sometimes trust your emotions. If the emotion is rooted in a story you've been telling yourself for years and years, and you're kind of like living in the past, and because you're living in the past, meaning you're living in that story that you keep telling yourself, it could be that the emotion is rooted in fear, and because you're not actually present to what's really going on, then your emotions are gonna maybe make you afraid or something like that. And this is like a classic example of when you can't really trust your emotions. And I'm gonna give you guys kind of like a little bit of an example. So I teach psychodrama groups, or I don't know if that's the right word. I coach, I have psychodrama groups, where the point is that people it's psychodrama therapy, where people come there and they kind of act out their issues. Whenever I describe psychodrama, I always describe it as a stage to act out all your crap. And what's really cool about these groups is that you become very intimate, because people really start, like little by little, as the group gets closer and closer with each other, you start sharing really intimate details about your lives, and you become very close. And of course, the more close and the more intimate you get with people, the more you feel okay to confront them, and the more confrontation all of a sudden becomes okay, because we're not tiptoeing. And then we get to the meat of a lot of real issues. So a classic example that comes up in multiple groups is there's someone in the group who says, I feel like people in the group don't like me. And what's cool is that because there's a certain level of intimacy and closeness, there's actually a way to check this. So what we do is we have everyone stand in a circle, we put a pillow in the middle of the circle, and we say, all right, if you really love this person, go all the way to the pillow. If you don't like them at all, stay where you are. And of course, if you kind of like them, then move a few steps, etc., etc. And the point is that what usually happens is there's a mix. There's some people who go all the way to the pillow. There's some people who walk almost to the pillow, some people who walk very close, some people who maybe don't move at all. But the point is that you have a range, meaning that the person says, I feel that people in the group don't like me. It's not actually true, and you can break apart this belief, you can break apart this fear by actually doing something like the exercise that I just mentioned, because what it shows is that there's a range and it's not all black and white. And the reason why the person thought this, because also when we dived into it, is because they had social issues in childhood. And what he was doing unconsciously was that he was reliving his childhood experience in the group, meaning it wasn't an accurate reflection of reality. He was projecting his childhood experience onto the group. And what's really cool is I'm sure this person did this at various points throughout their life. And what's cool is that in the group, you're actually able to break apart the belief that leads to the emotion. So that's just like one example of you can't necessarily trust your emotions. Also, another little example is, I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times I have anxiety before I go out or before I meet my friends for various reasons. It could be because I'm tired. It could be because I don't feel like making small talk and being social with a bunch of people who I might not really know that well. It could also be because when I first moved to Israel, so I'm based in Tel Aviv right now, and when I first moved to Israel when I was a kid, I had trouble learning the language, which meant I had trouble making friends and all sorts of stuff like that. And it could be that the cells in my body, there's a certain thing called cell memory. It's reliving the story, even if at this point I kind of know it's not the case. And of course, sometimes when you don't want to go out, you either say to yourself, okay, just do it, just go out, see what happens. Or sometimes you're with a friend and your friend is like, come on, let's go out, it'll be fun. And he starts nagging you, and you're like, fuck it, fine, I'll go out, okay. Then you go out and you see you had a great time, and there was no reason to feel fear in the first place. Now, I know I just mentioned two specific examples about fear. We can also take the feeling of maybe being hungry and wanting food. There's lots of times also when, let's say I have this feeling, but I don't eat, and then I actually get extra energy and I'm not hungry at all afterwards. The point is, we can't always trust our emotions. Now, don't get me wrong, over time we can definitely make it a habit of following our gut, okay? Or at the very least, doing a gut check meaning we're kind of seeing how we feel and then we go check it out in reality to see if it's actually an accurate reflection of reality. And little by little, we can kind of gain a gut feeling. But the point of this video is so like, I'm kind of leaving you guys in the air right now, and I'm like, well, you can trust it sometimes, you can't always trust it, blah, blah, blah. The point is, emotions should not necessarily stop you from taking action, okay? Meaning that, especially when we're doing something new, a lot of times when we're doing something new, we'll feel some level of fear because it's out of our comfort zone and we're not used to it yet. And that feeling of uncomfortableness can sometimes be interpreted by the body as fear. I realize I'm just talking to you guys and I'm not breathing at all. It's important to breathe. So anyways, a little bit of fear is okay when you're first starting something new. And if you have a combination of fear and excitement, that's actually a good thing. It means that you're gonna break through your comfort zone. But the point is that you know what you really wanna do. Don't let fear stop you from doing it. Or many times if we say, I don't feel like doing it, but there's something inside of you that kind of wants to do it, go do it anyways. There's a concept, and I'm trying to think of a catchy way to say this in English, but I can't really. It's called be bold and slow down, which what that means is yes, be bold, yes, take action, yes, do what you want to do. Of course, if you feel great and there's no reason to be bold, hallelujah. But at the same time, you can always slow down and see how you're feeling. You can also regret and say, you know what, I tried it, it's not for me, and go back. Meaning, don't let your emotions keep you in kind of like a prison in that sense. And also the way that we become emotionally flexible is of course trying things. And with trying things, we also learn our boundaries, we learn our limits. And when we're trying new things, we want to do it in a way that doesn't scar us, but allows us a little bit to widen the comfort zone, meaning in a way that kind of, let's say when you're working out, you rip the muscle. Now you're not ripping it to the point where you can't work out again. You're ripping it just enough so it grows. So that's kind of the same thing when it comes to trying out stuff, even if your emotions are kind of telling you, don't do this. So that's basically it for right now. And I hope you guys like this video. I'm trying out this new like beam light or whatever around it. I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but I guess we'll see. Anyways, guys, I'm Danny. I'll see you around.